Just a quick message before this video gets started here. This is a long video, so if you want to check the video description down below, then it will have links to the different sections of the video if you want to use this like a reference material, or if you want to send anyone to a particular point in the video, then you can use that index down there in the video description to kind of skip ahead or go to the part you want to see. So if you can't watch the whole thing in one sitting, that's okay. You can just kind of use that index as like a chapter guide and come back and check it out when you have time. Welcome back, everybody. Today we have a small mail day video. Just a few items today. And that is because these items have been sent to me for authentication. So this is a mail day / authentication video. These are all from different people for the same person. So he had them shipped directly to me to check them out before I forward them on to him. So we're going to take a look at these and check them out, test them, stuff like that, and make sure that they're legit. I expect everything will be fine, but it doesn't hurt to look. So I'm going to share this with all of you, and we'll see if we learn anything. I'll make sure we do. All right. Little slicey there, like Open Booster says. Okay, what do we have in this box? That's it. Looks like magic cards. That's all right. And we have, let's see here. All right, we got a pull string on this one. That's it for that. Come on now. A basic mountain. Well, hope that's a real mountain. All right. So this is a Time Walk. Power 9. Cool card. I guess the cardboard is just for a little extra protection. Make it stiffer. Okay, one Time Walk. Looks like it's the only card in there. It is sleeved in a perfect fit, in addition to the regular sleeve and the top loader. I can probably leave it inside the perfect fit for what I need to do. Hopefully you all can see okay. It's got some wear on the back. There's a lot of glare from that sleeve. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, right here, left of the green symbol there, there's some wear. Pretty noticeable there. Anyway, moving on here to the mountain. Get the tape to let go of my fingers there. All right, a peanut. Mountain and a plains and wow. A signed Chaos Orb and a Bayou. That's pretty cool. Nice stuff. Let's move that away. We probably don't need to authenticate the basic lands there. Let's see, let's put these over here. Get rid of the top loader there. We don't need anything sticky here. Nothing with tape residue. And these are all taped together. Here. Test card. Phyrexian Hulk. So this is a test print. Oh, nice tape. Came right off with no residue. Wonderful. All right. Gilded Lotus. Quite a few test prints here. There we go. We'll set aside that tape there. Okay. Clear the package dust off the desk. Make sure these top loaders aren't sticky. Seems pretty good. Yeah, so let's identify what we have here. A Phyrexian Hulk and a Gilded Lotus. We have another Phyrexian Hulk. Now there's a difference between the two here. They're both test prints. Okay, this one has a round foil symbol right there. And this one has a diamond-shaped foil symbol. So we'll get into that later when we look at them, but I wanted to show you what they are and the difference between them. Gilded Lotus. This one has a square symbol down here in the corner. And it's just one card in each of these, right? Looks like it. And these two are Door to Nothingness, also test prints. And one of them is the round symbol variety right here, which is actually over the text. And one of them is the square down in the corner. So there's several different varieties of stampings on these test prints. I'll go into that more later, but this is the ones that we have here right now. Okay, so first things first, let's pull out some comparisons. So get out my binder here and put the knife away. We don't need that anymore. All right. Here we go, test prints. Blastoise is cool. I'm going to have some videos coming up on that soon. I know a bunch of you are waiting for it. It's really something I'm working on a lot right now, so stay tuned. That'll be coming up. Door to Nothingness. Here we go. This one might be cool too. So let's pull out those two for comparisons. Now my Door to Nothingness, we'll see how it's different. It has a foil M where the expansion symbol would be. So that's the one that I have. Also a test print. And let's see this one. This one has a bunch of foil stuff. So we'll look at that later also. All right. Okay, so we have test prints. Let's put those over here. And the Chaos Orb and the Bayou. And the Time Walk. All right, next, let's pull up a scan. I don't actually own a Time Walk to compare to, but I do have a pretty decent scan that someone sent me a long time ago. Let me see, which button is that? There we go. All right. So here's a scan of a Time Walk. One of the ways that we authenticate cards is to look at the printing pattern. Now the best places to look for the printing pattern is areas that isolate the different colors of printing. Now the cards are printed in 4 colors. It's called CMYK, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, and K stands for key, which in this case is black. A decent place to isolate some of the colors is in the mana symbols. Now this isn't an amazing scan, but it's a decent scan, so it's what we have to work with. So you can see here that the black goes kind of diagonal like that, and the blue also goes diagonal, but a different direction. So each color is applied in a grid of dots like this, but each color is also in a different angled direction so that they don't exactly overlap each other. So you don't want them to cover up each other, you want them to kind of intermingle. That way you can see all the colors. All right, so back to this USB microscope. So I don't have a real time walk to compare to, but I do have a couple fake time walks. So here's a couple fake time walks. So I'm going to go ahead and put those under the microscope here, just to give you an idea of what the difference is between the real one on the left and a fake one. And hopefully that'll give you some idea of kind of what we're looking for when we look at the one over there. Okay, so there's a few different kinds of fakes. Actually, before I look at those, let me pull out this one. Now, I didn't have one of these that was a time walk, but this is another fake card. Okay, so there's a few different ways to make fakes. Not all fakes look alike. It's much easier to identify a real card than it is to identify a fake card, because with a real card, you can compare it to other real cards. But with a fake card, well, another fake card might not look like the fake card that you have. And there's so many different ways to make a card that aren't the correct way, that there's just a lot of variations. So I'm going to go over a few of the variations here. So this Mox Emerald right here, this is a fake card. Now, it may not look too bad on camera from, this far away. If I had one side by side with it, you would see a very noticeable color difference. But I don't, and so you don't really notice that as much. Now, this card was printed on consumer-grade equipment. So this is stuff that people, would have in their household pretty commonly. And there we go. Once the camera focuses, you can see that it really doesn't look good. You could play with it if you wanted to just have fun. It's recognizable. People will see it from across the table and, they'll know what you're doing. But with the naked eye, in person, if you look at it, it really looks pretty bad. Let me pop it under the microscope here so you can get a really good look. All right. Yeah. Let me see if I can zoom in a little and make those be about the same scale. All right. So yeah, there's the print quality difference of consumer grade home printers versus a real card. A poor scan of a real card at that. Well, it's not really a poor scan, it's an okay scan. It's good enough. We can see the dots at least. So yeah, obvious that this is not a real card for the Mox Emerald. Let's look at some of the text here. Compared to the text on this other card. Check out the card name. Huge quality difference. Okay, so that is a consumer grade card. Now, you can make them better than this, better print quality with consumer grade equipment. But to do that, it requires a different material to print on. So the main issue here is the viscosity of the ink and the porosity of the surface. This is a real Magic card. So if you look at the back, it's perfectly fine. That's a normal card. If you were to tear it, it's got a blue core. It feels okay. But it looks wrong because it's printed on the wrong equipment. And on top of that, based off of a scan, which is never as good as the real thing. A copy of a copy is never as good as the original. So unless you have the original print files or films, you know, the data, then you'll never get it to look right. Okay, so as I was saying, to get a higher quality than this with consumer equipment, you have to print on something that's not the card, and then you have to fasten that thing to the card, which is the way they used to make fakes in the mid-90s. They would just print them on paper or whatever, and then glue the paper onto the card. Of course, that makes the card thicker. And so that's how you tell those. They don't look nearly as good as original either, but they're better than this. Except that they're thicker. So, you know, there's always something wrong with a fake. Okay, so that's that. On to these. Okay, this one. This is printed in what you would probably call professional equipment. And by professional, I mean like a business office, something higher end. It's more expensive than anyone would really buy for their house, the kind of equipment that's used to make this. But it's not industrial grade. It's not like prints the real cards. It's like the middle ground. Okay, so compared to the real one, the color's wrong. That's always a problem with fakes. The color is always wrong. And that has, again, to do with using the wrong ink to make the card, and having the wrong level of saturation or dot gain / ink bleed, whatever you want to call that. Alright, so this Time Walk, also printed on a real card, so that's totally a real card, same issue, real card stock, looks good from the back. If you tear it, it's got a blue core, etc., etc. But the front is printed on, or with, not with the correct equipment. And again, based on a scan rather than with the original files. So, all right, so here's what this one looks like. I guess we'll start with the card name, huh? Certainly better than that emerald. But yeah, that's not a focus issue. The card actually looks like that. So let's scoot on down to the casting cost here. And we'll move this one. So you can see the difference. The real one on the left has the grids of dots, and the one on the right really doesn't. It has something that looks kind of like rosettes, but they're not really rosettes. You might see some yellow dots here. Here they are here. You can see the yellow dots and the white there. Or those are spread out all over the card. Every so often they repeat. That's a signature mark of a laser printer. And they do serve a purpose. I don't really want to go into that too much in detail right now. But you can see them right there too. But so that's one way to spot a laser printed card And the real cards are not printed on laser printers. They're just not. But, you know, you could recognize it from across the table if you were playing a game or whatever. So, there we go. All right. So that's that one. That's a quote-unquote professional grade printer. Now, we'll set that one aside, and we will move on to this one. This is made on industrial grade equipment. This is actually the same kind of printer that prints the real cards. It happens to be the same brand and everything, as far as I know. So let's see how it looks. There we go. Okay, now those actually are rosettes because it's printed on an offset printing press. But they're not supposed to be there. At least not on an unlimited card. So it's important when you're authenticating cards to compare cards that are from the same print run, or at least as close as you can get, which means the same set and the same language. Older sets before 4th edition really only had one print run anyway. Starting with 4th edition, you start to have multiple print runs. But at least if you get the same language and the same expansion, there's a pretty good chance that they'll match. Now, in newer sets like current day, there's actually, well, starting in 96 and onward, 96 was a long time ago, there were multiple print facilities. And in those early days, the print facilities, usually they would handle a certain number of languages, and English was printed everywhere. It's still kind of that way today. So with the English cards, present day, you can actually get some differences between the different print facilities. The Japanese print facility in particular has had a few noticeable differences with current cards. But the point of all this is to try to use the same set, same language when you're doing your comparisons. If you can't do that, at least get a card that's the same color from the same set. Yeah, if you can't get the same exact card. That would be the ideal, is to do the same exact card. But if you can't get the same exact card, get the same one, or get the card that's the same color at least, from the same set and language. Okay, so we can see that the black border around this is not solid black. We also have rosettes in the white border, which aren't supposed to be there. Just, tons of things that don't look right. The rosettes themselves are smaller. The card's printed at a higher resolution than original. Text isn't solid. Now they do make fakes with solid text. This fake card was made in 2014 in the summertime, I believe. Since then, they've been making fakes with solid text. But this is still a clue that the card's not legit. And there's plenty of other clues that I've pointed out here. All right, so that's about it for this card. I guess I can show you the back. The back of this card is not real because it's not printed on a real card like the other ones. The back's just as fake as the front, and the cardstock's the wrong cardstock. So the industrial-made cards are wholly new cards. They don't use components of old cards. Maybe I'll do a side-by-side of this in a minute. But well, let me shut that microscope off there. All right, there we go. Okay. Try to keep everything where you guys can see it on the camera. I don't want to be moving stuff where you can't see it. All right, so that takes care of those fake cards. You have kind of an idea what we're looking for, what we're looking at. And now I can get out the real cards, or will we hope they're real, and compare them to see what we've got going on. So, all right. So let's take the scan back up to the casting cost. And turn on that microscope. Yes, that's what we want to see. All right, so we have the individual dots, and you can see these are the black ones, and they're running at the same angle as these black ones. And these are the blue ones, and they're running at the same angle as these blue ones. Black line's solid. Rosettes look similar in the artwork there. Let me move it. Now, if the color looks a little odd, remember that this card on the right is in a sleeve. There we go. Rosettes are similar sized. Obviously, we didn't have any rosettes on the white border, so we're good there. No yellow dots either. We can look at the card type here. If you look at the dots, they line up pretty much exactly. We even have the same little blemish right here. That mark, you can also see it on the card on the right. It's kind of U-shaped. That's actually in the magenta layer. Little flaws like that are great for authentication. They really help. All right, let's look at some card text. Looks good. Now, if they look like they're a different scale, that just has to do with how far I'm zoomed in on the scan or on the microscope. So don't worry about that. We're just looking at kind of shapes and things like that. Now, on the one on the right, you can see a little white outline on the letter T on the bottom edge, both under the cross at the top and under the bottom, the base. I call that windowing because it's a hole in the blue layer so that the black text can show through clearly without being overlapped by the blue ink. It's difficult to make out on the scan because of the quality of this scan, and there's a chance maybe it's not there. That's a registration issue, is what that is. It means that the black layer is not aligned with the blue layer the ideal way that the designers intended. Which is a sign of the card being legit, by the way, because most fakes print the text as the last layer like new cards would do. Okay, so that's probably more than enough looking at this card. This card is totally fine. Nothing to worry about. I can flip it over and look at the back. So let's do that. Try to do this where you can see me do it here. All right, microscope on. There we can see that wear mark pretty good there. And there's more than one. But that's not what we're here to look at. All right, green dot. Lots of people like to look at the green dot. You can look at any of the dots, really. So the goal here is to look at each color layer. And you have, well, like I said, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Green is not actually one of the colors. So this dot is made up of yellow and blue dots. And there's a black outline and there's some black shading on it. And there's just a little bit of magenta or red in the highlight area. It's a little hard to see right there because of focus, but maybe I'll get to it in just a second. Let me pull up this. All right. So this is a scan of an unlimited card back. It's an IC manipulator, if that matters. It really doesn't. So the backs should all be the same. We're going to zoom in to this green dot. All right, let's try that. It has a blemish right here, a dirt spot or a stain or something. That's not on all cards. That's a flaw. But most people like to look for this red L. I know those look like green dots, but they're actually blue with yellow underneath them. You can see a little bit of blue right here at the edge. Okay, so let's see if I can get a little bit better view of this. Let's all right, and a little bit of light would be good. Hopefully we don't glare off the sleeve. Yep, we glare a little bit. Yeah. All right. So again, we're at a different scale because of how far I'm zoomed in. Don't worry about that. I have another light here. Maybe this will do. Whoa, too bright. All right, this is just a flashlight held off to the side. All right, so you can see the dots run in the same direction on each card. And they both have that red L, so they have the 4 red dots. Not seeing any problems here. The black is solid around the circle, and everything's running the same angle. So it's looks good. No problems there. And let's pull up a different symbol. All right. Same issue here. Colors are running the proper direction. You can see the yellow dots run pretty much left to right. They don't have a, I mean, I guess left to right is still an angle. It's flat. But they're not cocked to the same degree as the other colors, which can be misleading when you're looking at the blue, or sorry, when you're looking at the green orb with its blue colors mixed with the yellow. So the yellow actually goes pretty flat left to right, and the red is at an angle here. It's at the same angle that it is for the L shape. It's the same across all the card. And if we move on, see, so this shows us yellow and red. We can move on to the blue symbol here. And I don't know what else to show you here. There's, like, the card's pretty real. We can look at this TM. You see how it's all jaggedy? I guess that's not on my scan of the card back because I just have the center section. But anyway, the jagged version is correct. If that had crisp lines, then it's not correct. Some of the fakes have a very crisp TM. You can see the blue dots in there. I like to look at that. That's one of the corner dots. Yeah, anyway, this time walk is totally legit. And I don't really need to spend much more time on it. So I will go ahead and scan that before I send it off. And then I will have a higher quality scan of a time walk that I can use in the future. If I ever need to do this again, and I probably will. All right, so let's move on to the next card. That's going to be the Chaos Orb. So let's do the back first. Since I already have the back image up and the microscope's already zoomed in, so all right. Other way here. All right, the real one on the right still has, or sorry, the one in question on the right still has the red L, and all the angles look good. I'm not seeing any problems. Trying to get my light held just right. It's easy for it to be too bright. All right, let's look at the yellow one. Yep, that looks pretty good too. You know, once you practice, you kind of get to know what they're supposed to look like. But for the rest of you, let me put the comparison up here. All right, so the back looks fine. I guess we can look at the TM again. Why not? Look at that card edge right there where the brown and the black meet. All right, so that's it for this card. We're going to flip it over and look at the front. So microscope off. We'll flip that over. And I do have a Chaos Orb. Let me see here. Here we go. Mine's beta. Ooh, it's dusty. All right. So I scanned that. And I can pop that scan in here. Now, like I said, it's best to compare same set, same language. In this instance, this works because I happen to know that Beta and Unlimited were created with the same print films. So the plates for each printing are different, but they're both made from the same set of color separation films. Now, the films were modified to remove the black border before burning the plates. It's like blanking it out. They cover over it so that part doesn't burn. onto the plate. But other than that, they're identical. So all the cards are the same except for the border. So we're going to zoom in here. Let's get nice and big so it's easy to see. You know, sometimes when you're working with a loop, a little eyepiece like this, then it's still kind of hard to see the details. It's not as comfortable as having a huge image on a big computer monitor or something. Okay, so microscope on. All right, we are down in the lava here. Let's move up to the casting cost. Wonder if I can make that a little bigger. Nope, too big. Colors run the same angle. They appear to be positioned the same. Registration's slightly different. I guess one's beta and one's unlimited, so that can change between print runs, registration, especially since they're different plates, but yeah. So basically what I'm talking about there is, you see that there's this line of black dots here, and there's another line of black dots below it, but the next line of black dots is in the color. And on the card on the right, you have 3 rows of black dots in the white. And the opposite of that on top, you've got these which are connected to the 2 here, and then you've got a couple dots that are solid in the white, and on the one on the right, you don't. So on the unlimited card, the one we're testing, the 2, and really the entire black layer, is shifted up by about the size of 1 dot. Not much, but it's a difference. And so if you had a card, let's say an unlimited card that had its borders sharpied black, and you weren't sure if it was a beta card or an unlimited card, you might be able to look at that and tell. So, you know, little details like that can make a difference in certain situations. That's also helpful for identifying a rebacked card if you're comparing beta, like the one on the left, to something from, say, Collector's Edition or International Edition. Now, it's not always going to be shifted the same direction or the same amount. You really need to compare on a card-by-card basis, but I don't want to get off on too many tangents here. This video is going to be just plumb full of information. So, all right, so everything looks good there on that casting cost. Let's look at the, so the black layer is good. We can see the black layers right. Let's look down here in the yellow and red. Yellow is a little hard to see most of the time, unless you're in a white mana symbol. But I can see a little bit of it there. Let me go to the same spot, if I can find it. Well, that's going to be tough. I think I'm there. Still zoomed in a different amount, but I'm there. Okay, so my red's running the same angle, and my yellow is too. I can see the yellow right here, and I can also see it on the card on the right. So black, yellow, and red are all in the correct orientation and the right resolution. That only leaves blue. It's pretty unlikely that blue is going to be wrong if the other 3 colors are correct, but let's see. Is there a place that blue is isolated and easy to see on this card? There's some blue. Not a lot. It's mixed in with all the other colors there. All right, I guess we'll try that. Okay. Blue runs at this angle. You can see on the left I'm pointing with the little cursor. I guess I could pull it up to about the same spot here on the other picture. All right. So yeah, blue runs at this angle here, and you can see it also on the card on the right. So everything's matching up like dot to dot because they're made from the same films and because it's real. Let's take a look at the signature real quick. So this is not a ballpoint pen, this is an ultra-fine Sharpie. All right, so that's it for this. We've looked at the back, we've looked at the front. Looks great. All right, now we have a Bayou. Let's see. What do I have for comparisons for a Bayou? I'm not sure if I have an unlimited one. I know I have revised, but that could be different. Well, let's start by looking at the back. I know I can do the back. Okay, there's the blue dot. Try to get it rotated the right way. Let's move it up to the white dot. Well, the Bayou looks kind of dirty, but that might be the sleeve. It's a little hard to tell. But the colors are going in the right directions and everything. Not seeing any problems. Get out my light again. You can see the red L. Now it's possible for that red L to not be there, or at least not entirely there. That has to do with just basically a printing error with the magenta ink being lightly printed. You know, mistakes can happen. Certain cards I've seen an extra black dot in there in the middle, which is just a spot of ink, you know. So that looks fine. look at the TM here. All right. So when you're looking at a dual land, same thing, you want to look at the mana symbols because they isolate the colors so well. So that's going to be down here in the text box for a dual land. But I need a minute to search for a good comparison because I wasn't prepared to have a Bayou in this package. So give me a second to look around and I'll find something suitable to compare with. All right. Okay, here is a Beta Demonic Tutor. Not ideal, obviously, because it's not a Bayou. And it's not from the same set, but it is from the same set of print films, Beta and Unlimited. And the color angles will be the same. So let me pull up the microscope. All right, let's get the symbol there. So Alpha, Beta, and Unlimited had this thing with the black symbols where there was this line that comes down, and you can see that here on the card on the right, in addition to the card on the left. They both have it. I can probably zoom in a little more here. Maybe that's too much. So our colors are running the same angle. I can't expect the registration to match on different cards from different sets. So that's not a thing. But the symbols are the correct shape, and it has the typical line that comes down that's a flaw. Now let's switch to another card here. Let's look at the green symbol. All right, this is a Beta Scrib Sprites. So moving on over to green. All right, our colors are running at the same angle, and the symbol is the same symbol. Notice the hole here and here, and that there's no roots on the bottom. All the mana symbols have changed through the years, and fakes often use the incorrect mana symbol. They use the modern version for everything, and the old cards don't use the modern mana symbols. So yeah, dots go in the same angle. All right, just forgetting the card on the left for a minute and looking more at the card on the right here. So we have the windows around the text, not all the way around, but on one side, which is fine. It's a good thing. The white border is white. The black line is solid. Text is solid. Let's see, so we've looked at the blue and the black. There's not a lot of magenta in this card that's really isolated and easy to see. We can look at the card type. It has the black dots like it's supposed to. Same with the card name. Just not seeing any problems with the card. Boy, that's dirty, isn't it? Wow. Wonder if that'll clean off. But I'll let the owner figure that out. Okay, so this looks good. We can look at the artist credit at the bottom. Same thing. For some dual lands, you can see the colors of the dots isolated pretty well in these different color bands. But for this particular dual land, it has rosettes everywhere. So there's no doubt in my mind that this card is legit. Apologies for not having a better comparison. I grabbed this Alpha Savannah thinking maybe it might be an okay comparison, but I went with the beta cards instead. They're a little closer to Unlimited, even though Alpha's basically the same films also. But there were a few changes between Alpha and Beta in the films. Particular cards had adjustments. Alright, so put that back away. And alright, so 3 down, test prints to go. There's quite a few of them there. Alright. Test prints, let's see. Let's pull up my Door to Nothingness. Okay, so this one's mine. It has the silver M. And let's go to one of these Door to Nothingness cards. Let's do the one with the round symbol. Set the top loader aside. Go ahead and get them all out of the top loaders here. Okay, so like I was saying a minute ago when we're doing the Bayou, the color angles are consistent within the set, within the printing. So these test prints, I expect to all have the same color angles. So even though I don't have my own Gilded Lotus and Phyrexian Hulk test prints to compare to, I can still use the same color angles that we see on my Door to Nothingness for comparison because they're from the same set. Now, whether they would match up to regular print versions, I kind of expect they would, but I haven't compared. And I know that the regular set is a different printing than the test print set. So my test print's really a better comparison. Okay, so Door to Nothingness. Now, the awesome thing about this card is that you can see all the colors in these mana symbols right here. So they're isolated really well for us. So that's where we're going to focus at. Let's move these things here a little bit. Okay. Keep everything visible that way. And bam, microscope. All right, white mana symbol. And we will go over here and zoom in. Zoom in. All right. I can pretty easily see that we have similar registration. The mana symbol itself is kind of over on the left side of the circle. That's interesting. All right. Get my light out a little bit. So you can see the yellow dots are running left and right. Or you could say up and down, 90 degrees or 0 degrees. And you can see the same thing on this symbol. Let me zoom in so you can see them a little better here. Whoop. All right, so that is yellow. Now we're going to move on to blue. Same angle. Black. And here's another reason why it's important to stay with the same set, is because you can see the black symbol on this newer set doesn't have the same grid of black dots as the older sets that we just looked at, like Unlimited. Alpha, Beta, and Unlimited have that older style. A few Arabian Nights cards do. And the Arabian Nights expansion symbol does have that old style. And after that, it's different. Moving on to red. You can see they're going in the same angle. And the symbols look the same. And here is green. And like we were talking about earlier, there's not the extra light areas up here where you can see through the branches, and this has roots. So that's not a side-by-side comparison, but at least they're in the same video. You can see that they're different. All right. Looking at the text. Nice and solid. Rosettes look good. There's the black border here. Now when you're zoomed in this close on the black border, it's actually not solid. It's made up of black dots that kind of bleed into each other. And these light spaces you see are the spaces between the dots where the ink has bled into them and it's not quite entirely black. And this runs at, this angle, same as black dots are supposed to. And let's scoot over, try to keep the card straight. Get the light on it so you can see it. You can see it for a minute and then the camera focuses it out. Nope, that light doesn't help. Anyway, we can also look at the casting cost up top here. Might as well do that. Looks great to me. And the card name is black now. It's a very distinctive shaped G. Fake cards often have the wrong font. G's are good to look at. Lowercase r's, if you can get a really good look at them. Sometimes it's hard to see through a loop. Yeah. So, totally looks legit to me. And we can flip it over here. Oops. Ha! It's in a sleeve. All right. If we're going to look at the card back, we're going to have to take it out of the sleeve. And these are not in a perfect fit. Alright, so this is the card back for my Door to Nothingness test print. So it is the right card back to compare to. Turn on the microscope. Oh, hey, there's no card sleeve. I should be able to use the microscope light. Still pretty bright. There we go. If I'm careful with it, it works. So you can see the red L on both sides. Maybe a little less light there. Angles look correct. Solid black line. Much easier to see the yellow dots there. Helps if I got the card turned the right way. And the red dot. I don't look at the black dot as much. I guess I can go over to it real quick. All right. Glance at that TM there. And that's enough for this card. So we will set that aside. Let's see here. Pick up the sleeve and the card with it. All right. And let's put it here, I guess. Seems like an all right spot. We'll get out the other Door to Nothingness. Since I want to look at the back, we'll go ahead and take it out of the sleeve. And let's look at the back first, because I already have the back up on the screen there. All right. Looks good. We're going to glance at the T here. Looks fine. Let's go ahead and look at the border between the brown and the black here. Certain sets have that sort of scalloped shape where the black comes into the brown, like dots. And certain sets have a straight line there, so just something you can compare. All right, let's flip that over. And we're going to focus on those mana symbols again. Looking pretty good. Try a little more light there. Well, that might actually make it harder to see. Anyway, hopefully you guys can see that the yellow is going the correct direction. Going to move on down to the red. And the green. Text looks good. Not seeing any problems with any of the cards. I didn't expect to, and I still don't expect to see any problems with the next cards. So that's about it for this one, really. I mean, we could keep looking at stuff, but it's just not necessary. So let's not spend a bunch of time we don't need to spend looking at cards. So the Lotus. Okay, so on this green symbol, these are blue dots. So this grid here runs the same direction as this. So we're going to look at this. So blue dots is what we're looking for here. Let's see, is there a place that has a nice blue grid? Here's the artist's signature. I guess that's a year. I recognize the first name. Huh. Anyway. All right, someplace with isolated color. That's blue and magenta. There's the casting cost, 5. That's the same as the other card. Well, there I can see the red pretty good. So let's turn the card so it's straight. And flip this over to red. All right. We're zoomed in a different amount, but the red dots are going the same angle. That's what we want to see. But for blue dots, looks like the colors are pretty well mixed. I can see the blue dots in that, but it's not just blue. There's some black dots in there too, and a few magenta ones. So if you can focus on just the blue ones, then you can see it. Maybe we can see something in the highlight areas, the white spots. That's usually a good place to catch the yellow dots. Well, this card seems harder to find. Good spots for comparison. At least good spots that are, so obvious I can show them on camera. Down into the text box. Text looks good. All right, well, let's flip it over and look at the back. Hopefully by now you're getting a feel for what these are supposed to look like. Guess we can go do that one first. Now we'll go back to the green one. All right. So that card was a little harder to see, but I'm pretty sure it's real. I mean, in addition to what I can show you on the camera, I can hold it, I can feel it. And we'll take a closer look at those symbols that are stamped on the card in a minute. As soon as we're done looking at these other two cards here. So here we go. I guess we'll look at the back first. Put it on the green symbol. We'll go ahead and unsleeve this one also. All right. Here we go, green symbol. Try some different light there. One of the red dots is pretty hard to make out on that one. And that's one of those things, like I was saying, where, you know, sometimes that happens. But you can see the other three are there, and they're where they're supposed to be, and they're angled correctly, and everything else about the symbol looks correct. So it's all right. We can see some more red dots up here in this. Yep, that looks good. All the way over here to the TM. And then we will flip over the card. All right, finding the colors again. Let's see. This card doesn't really have much blue, maybe in his eyes. There's the runes on his chest. Nope, his eyes are not blue. Well, we can at least look at this red. get out here in the art and it's difficult to tell whether you're at an angle, you know. You don't have that problem with a scan. Ah, I can see some black dots there. That's what I was looking for. So the black dots are running at the right angle. All right, seems pretty good. All right, same spot up here. We can check out the red. Yeah. I believe the black dots were over here. Okay. Text looks good. We will flip it over here and check out the back. All right. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to declare those cards are all legit. That was what we expected. And that's what we wanted to see. And it's what they actually are. All right, now we could check thickness and things like that. We could light test them. Let me see one for a minute. So, do I want the microscope anymore? Sure, let's keep the microscope here for a minute. So let's light test one of these. Here's my light. Try not to blind the camera here. It's pretty bright. Probably difficult to focus on that. You can kind of see the M in magic on the card back there. In person, you can really see the texture of the blue layer. but the camera doesn't really pick it up because it's blown out by the light a little bit. Maybe you can see it a little bit there. Anyway. All right, so what do we want to look at next here? I think the next thing that we want to look at is, how about this card. Here's a Chrome Mox. This is from Eternal Masters. I opened this myself at a draft when the set came out, and I'm going to take a look at this symbol here that's down at the bottom. So yeah, we call that a holofoil oval because it's oval shaped, and the foil is holographic. It has these symbols in it. It has planeswalker symbols, and it also has some mana symbols. I don't know if I can get those to show up here. Maybe I can show you in a minute. So we're going to talk about that. That was introduced with M15, which is the name of one of the core sets. Now, M15 was released in 2014 in the summer. If you ever wondered why they do that, why would they name the 2014 summer set M15 when it's not 2015 yet? The reason is the mass market distributors kind of require them to do that. Not really distributors, it's more like retail outlets would be a better way to put it. So places like Walmart, Target, Toys R Us, when they existed, the big places, big box stores. So they have a policy where anything that's out of date gets removed from the store because they don't want to sell something that's out of date. So what happens is if you release a set in the summer of 2014 and you call it Magic 2014 or M14, then those big stores will only let you sell it for 6 months until the end of the year, and then they will close it out and not order more. So in order to keep the product in the stores for a longer time frame, they basically post-date it. So they call the summer 2014 set M15, and then they can sell it all the way through the end of 2015, which means any unsold cards that are still there when the next set gets released in the next summer, they can still stay on the shelf and get sold. So just the way things happen to work. I know it seems a little odd, but that's why. So back to this stamp here. So we first saw that holofoil oval in M15, which was released in the summer of 2014. And it's a security feature. It's supposed to help us identify whether a card is real or not real. The reason that that showed up is because, well, let me back up a second. So that's only on rares and mythics. And you'll also find it on a few cards that are promo cards that aren't rares or mythics. So the reason those cards have it is because they're promos. They're harder to find. But typically you'll find it only on rares and mythics. Okay, so the reason that showed up is because in 2014 there was an outbreak of counterfeit cards, like this Time Walk here. Yeah, my fake Time Walk. That's one from 2014, from the summer of 2014. So in January of 2014 and in the summer of 2014, there were a lot of counterfeits going around. And there was even more discussion about counterfeits. So they had basically created a buzz in the community. And Wizards of the Coast reacted to that concern about counterfeits by creating this stamp. And we first saw it on M15, but they weren't necessarily making it for M15. They were making it for the first set they could put it on as soon as they finished testing it. Just happens to be that set was M15. So what they decided on, as you can see here, is they have this... Let me turn on the microscope. Okay, so they have this cutout area in the text box with this oval in it. And that's a foil oval with a holographic image of planeswalker symbols and mana symbols. And it's hot stamped onto there, so it's applied with heat and pressure. Sometimes the pressure is so high you can actually see the stamp on the back of the card. It's not supposed to be that way, but it happens. Okay, so we're going to get a closer look at this with the microscope. Actually, there we go. So there's another one. Maybe I can zoom in a little. I don't know if that helps. All right, so here you can see this is a black mana symbol right here. And in different light, it would also have the planeswalker symbol. Now these planeswalker symbols are not foiled or holographic. Maybe they're foiled. Yeah, I think they are foiled, but they're not holographic. They don't change. They're always planeswalker symbols. And you can see they have text inside of them. It says Wizards. If you're looking at that on a phone, you might not be able to see it very well. But if you have it on a big screen TV, it's there. I can zoom in a little bit and maybe you can see it better, but we're going to be limited by the quality of the scan here. So, W-I-Z-A-R-D-S, Wizards. And it just repeats all over the place. So we will get a closer look at that with the microscope over here. First, let's see if we can see any of the mana symbols. No, let's try a different lighting technique. Oh, you can almost see the wizards there now. I saw one. That left side looked like a white symbol. Boy, that is difficult to get that to show up, huh? I don't want to spend too much time on it there. Does anything show up on this other one? Well, apparently that's not the right light source. All right, well, let's just move on to the wizards part. Okay, so zooming in and refocusing. Back on the camera with a little light. That's pretty clear. All right. Oops, I moved it. So, wizards. So that microtext is on legit holofoil stamps. But it's not on every one of these planeswalker symbols. It's only on certain ones. I know that one's a white mana symbol. I'm just not quite sure how to get it to show up on camera for you. All right, so let's look at something else here real quick. All right, so that's what a normal holofoil oval looks like. I'm going to set that card aside and check out this one. All right, so this has lots of holofoil on it. Big squares. Not sure if you can see mana symbols in any of those. Well, you can see from the date, this is a pre-release card. Maybe my different light would help. Well, it's pretty hard to make out. What looks like columns of silver planeswalker symbols right there, those are the ones that have the wizard's text. And all the other ones have the holographic symbols. There we go. Now I can see some. Just had to get the card tipped enough. All right, let me get both hands on it here. Hopefully the camera can stay focused. Okay, you can see a skull on the left and a tree above that and a water drop above that and a fireball above that and then a white symbol. And that looks like that repeats. Skull, green, blue, etc. But the next column looks like green, white, blue, red. Yeah, so maybe the pattern isn't quite the same on all the columns. But I'm sure it repeats in some way or another if you could see the whole thing. And this is a pretty good chance to see the whole thing. If I spent some time, I could probably see the whole pattern on this stamp because of how big it is. Now on this particular card, there's another big stamp up here, and this one's upside down. So that's kind of cool. That's one of the things that tells us this was intentionally created, is that after it was stamped, this huge stamp, it was sent through the machine again, the other direction. So let's look at this card underneath the microscope here, just for fun. There we go, Wizards. And that one has some holes in it where you can see the card below, but it says Wizards. And that would say Wizards. That one does. And that's the edge of the stamp. I guess we can look at the edge for a minute. So here's another column with the Wizards. And we're at the edge of the stamp again. All right, looks like the silver columns might not be the ones with text. That one looks like it's a silver column. And then these have the black bars. And that one does too. And then we're back to the text again. And then the silver. Makes me wonder if this pattern is a little different from the regular card. Here's the chrome mox again. No, it looks like it's got a silver one too. So, Wizards and silver, and then the holofoil. All right, chrome mox back away. Okay, so now you've had a pretty good look at the holofoil stamps. All right, so now we're going to get into the test print process of making those holofoil stamps. So let's have a look at this card. All right, so this is a Primal Clay card, and I'm pretty sure this is the one that's owned by Jason Gitlin. I assume he still has it. And after seeing my pictures of the up-close the Wizards text on those stamps, he looked at the stamp on this test print to see if it had anything interesting on it. here's his picture. We can probably zoom in on that a bit. Indeed it does. So he shared that picture with me and lots of people actually. And I took that picture and turned it around because, you know, I didn't really want to turn my head to look at it. I wanted to make it easier to read, to figure out what it said. And so we have this. So I've straightened the image and determined that the symbols repeat. So this symbol is the same as this symbol, and it's two symbols together, and they repeat every so often on the stamp. And it's Chinese. Then I figured out that it was upside down. So I flipped it. I managed to figure out through asking people what this symbol was. That was pretty easy. And it took a few better pictures of this symbol to figure out what it said. But here it is. I don't know how to pronounce those words, so I'm just going to put it up here on the screen for you to read. So the symbols mean this, which is apparently a tobacco company in that location. That's a place. And here's their address and where they're at. So I know that China has a tax on cigarettes. It's kind of a big deal whether your cigarettes are legal or not, if you've paid the taxes. So it probably has something to do with that. The hologram is probably something to do with certifying whether that product is legal or not, whether its taxes have been paid. So yeah, it's an authenticity stamp. It helps to fight against counterfeit cigarettes in this instance. They probably had it laying around and they were using it on other products, and Wizards of the Coast came and said, hey, we need something, security feature on our cards. We want to try these different shapes and symbols and figure out where to put it at and how it sticks on there and how durable it is, things like that. And the printing facility said, sure, we've got some other companies that do similar things, and we'll just make a few samples and see if you like any. So that's pretty much how that went. So when you see these orange-looking symbols, I guess they're like for Mythic, sort of. They're sort of Mythic colored symbols on the test prints. That's the foil that has the Chinese tobacco company text on it. But that's not the only kind of foil that they used. So here is my Door to Nothingness. It has the M. And so if we zoom in on this one, it's pretty hard to see in the scan. I don't know if I can get it to show on the camera or with the microscope, but I can point at it here. So this is a G, and this is an I. It's a round dot. And then this is an L, and it's this L right here, because this is an I also. So this is an I with the round dot. So then we have an L, and then we have another L, and then we have this E, which is this E right here. And then we have a T, and a T, and another E. So this E, we have a T, and another T, and an E. So that spells Gillette, which as far as I know is the razor company. Now this is the round dot logo, which they stopped using around 2009, but maybe they didn't update their hologram stuff, or maybe this was just some old stock that was laying around that they stopped using. So the current Gillette logo has a kind of a square dot over the I. But yeah, so this is the round dot Gillette logo. And at MisprintCon Columbus, we looked at a variety of other M15 test prints and checked out the other foils that they had on them. And so I'm pretty familiar with what these are supposed to have on them, and that can be used for authentication. So we're going to look at that on these other cards here and see what companies they have. Maybe I'll even see something new, but I kind of expect it's going to be the same stuff that I saw at MisprintCon. However, the stuff at MisprintCon wasn't filmed, and now I will have the advantage of being able to show you on camera so everyone can see it. Let's see, which one do I want to do first? I think I want to do the round stamp. So let's do this. So this round stamp looks like, how many different kinds do we have here? We've got the square and the round. And I think we got the diamond. Yeah. All right. So we have the round on 2 cards, we have the square on 2 cards, and we have the diamond on this card. So we'll check all those out. Looks like I'm going to have to zoom out a bit. All right. Boy, it's hard to get that just right. So the round symbol doesn't look like it says anything. It is the Planeswalker symbol embossed onto apparently plain foil. Let's adjust the light a little bit. Pretty cool. It's a neat authenticity stamp. Problem is it's in the text box and it covers up some of the text sometimes. The M-shaped one was pretty cool too, but the problem there is you can't really get enough detail for all the different kinds of expansion symbols. And so you'd run out of options for what you could do for expansion symbols. And you kind of need that space for the expansion symbol. I mean, I suppose you could put it next to the expansion symbol, which is really what this is. It's down in the text box below. Anyway, so let's zoom in on this. I know we were just zoomed in, but let's zoom in and focus and just make sure that there's not something else here to see. There's probably not. Doesn't really look like anything to me. Ridiculously close there. those print dots are really crisp and clear. Magenta, cyan, yellow. There's a blue on top of a yellow. It looks like green. All right, not seeing anything in the Planeswalker symbol. It's just a foil embossed stamp. All right. So zooming back out, try to get it about the right place for the next one. Too far. Okay, that's about right. So we will move that card back over here, and let's get out a square one here. Oh, there we go. All right, that's a pretty good view of that. Well, you can't see the picture very well, but it's in the frame. So this is an M. It's not like the one on the left, but it's an embossed magic M. Well, darn, that's not showing up real well. I can see it pretty well with the naked eye. Well, it's more or less like the Planeswalker symbol idea, but it's square instead of round, and it's an M instead of a Planeswalker symbol. It's the magic M. Wonder if zooming out would help you to see it. Or maybe changing this light. There, maybe that helped. I had too much glare. Well, I can see why they wouldn't choose this one. It's a little bit hard to see. And it's also not as fancy as what they ended up with the holographic mana symbols and everything. Okay, let's try another one. Pick up the sleeve here. There we go. All right, looks like it's another Planeswalker symbol. Well, I was hoping for one of the cooler ones with more words on them. There was one that said valid, I think, and there was another one that had a picture of a globe. I guess we can glance at the other two that are here. But yeah, that one's just another Planeswalker symbol. Oops. Bumped it there. All right. Well, running out of stuff to look at here. I'm sure the video's plenty long enough. All right. So we looked at those. Let's glance at this one. I can see it's the M. Can you guys see it? Let's see if I can get the camera to focus. There, you can kind of see the M there. And then this one with the round symbol. And I guess I'll show you my door to nothingness while we're at it. The has an outline that's embossed into it. You can kind of see it here on this picture. Kind of like how the card back has the red outline. The embossing has the same thing here. Okay, I think that's about all. Oh, I know what else I could show you. Just real quick here. Let's pull up another... look at the card back here real quick. Well, actually, before we do that, let's look at the holofoil symbol on a fake card. So let's pull up, there's the legit one. All right, I have here, this is an Eternal Masters Force of Will fake. Come on, focus. Guess the camera doesn't like the fake card. Oh, there we go. So it has a single Planeswalker symbol. And that's a fake card. It is not a hot stamp applied with heat and pressure. It's more like a sticker. It's just kind of put on there. And it seemed like, of course, you know, fakes have different batches. They're made a lot of different ways. But all the ones from this batch had the same Planeswalker symbol in the same space on every holofoil sticker. It's not even really holographic, it's just foil, but it has a printed image on it. Right side up. Okay. So we will look at that for comparison. So there you go. You can see the Planeswalker symbol, and it's just plain all around it. Nothing there. Certainly no microtext or anything like that. But I guess we can zoom in and look. Why not, huh? Maybe a little light. There we go, that's in focus. Okay. Now, not all fake holofoil ovals are going to look like that. The first fakes that had those just had them printed on. They weren't even foil at all. They were just, you know, ink. Okay, so what else would be good to show you? I think that would be a card back. Let me zoom out a little more here. All right, that might not be quite entirely in focus, but... So now we're going to look at the back on a fake card versus the back on a real card. All right. So the other fake cards that I showed you had a real card back because they were more or less homemade on real cards. So this is one of the mass-produced industrial quality fakes that has a fake front and a fake back. course, being made on an industrial machine in high quantities, you tend to see these more frequently than the homemade ones that take more work. So you see a lot of people talking about these because that's what they encounter more often. But you can see from looking at this that it looks nothing like a real card. A lot of the things that we've pointed out just aren't accurate. So let's look at this one now. And that one. Even the brown area that's outside of the colored orb there isn't correct. All right, we're going to go up to the TM here. We'll see how that looks on this particular card. See the blue dots inside that aren't right. They should be at angles similar to this. Well, actually you can kind of see them better on the green dot. All right, the places that look green that aren't yellow are actually blue. So, kind of this angle. All right, this TM isn't a solid white outline, but it's not correct. If you were to compare it next to a real one, you'd see it's pretty different. Pretty much everywhere you look at this level of magnification, you're going to see that it doesn't look right. All right, didn't I have one more fake here? Yeah. All right, so that is the Force of Will fake. Let's have a look at the Time Walk industrial quality fake. So yeah, similar issue. Hopefully you know what these are supposed to look like by now. All right. I think that's probably it. I will pack up these cards and forward them to the owner. Thanks for letting me make a video, and I hope everyone here enjoyed it and learned something. This is a nice reference. You know, if you got someone that has a question or needs to see this, please direct them to this video. It's good pictures, side-by-side comparisons, and you can really learn a lot from watching it. I know it's a long video,